Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I should see what's going on on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. Anyone hear the big news that Slayyyyyy Spire 2 is apparently coming out, which is very exciting for a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends play Slayyyyyy Spire, or absolutely adore Slayyyyyy Spire. Myself, not amusingly, but interestingly, not included in that. Not because I dislike Slayyyyyy Spire or anything. I just haven't played it really. You might be like, why? You know, I don't know if you necessarily said it in that sort of voice, but there's not like a huge reason to be particularly honest. Maybe it's a load of little things, but we'll get on to that. Good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 8:20 p.m. on Thursday, April 11th, 2024. So I'm also playing like, my catch games at the same time because I've been busy. Yeah, like I haven't really played Slayyyyyy Spire. I've seen gameplay of it, like I've seen Northern Play and play it. I've seen like quite a few of my friends play it. I think it's part of the reason is like I'm not like super into a lot of roguelites. Like the only roguelite which has really particularly hooked me has been Binding of Isaac, but I think that's kind of more like a not a recency thing, but like it is literally like one of maybe the first roguelite I played. So that's kind of why I feel that. Where's my stream deck? It's over here. But Slayyyyyy Spire, like I've only heard basically like great things about it. Like it's maybe the best roguelite or something, or well, best like strategic roguelite I suppose of all time. I suppose maybe like I don't know what would take a crown for like mechanical, maybe like Hades or something. But I've just heard like really good things about it. I think part of the reason like why I never initially picked it up was because I mean its art style. I don't hate its art style. Let me get that clear, but I don't love it either. It's like it's fine. It's what I say. To me, I would describe it as sort of like actually a friend of they described it as like it looks like a Flash game or something. Which is like I definitely see where they're coming from. To me, I think it's just the style looks a bit murky is maybe how I'd describe it, but it's not like murky as in like a sort of like a grimdark-esque sort of way. It just sort of like feels murky and muddy. I don't know how best to put it. Like I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I just don't love it or anything. And to me, actually, aesthetics actually do matter quite a lot for a game, which might be strange, but you know, that's something I just care about quite a lot. I like my game to look good, and like there's a game would have to be so good mechanically for it to over and align perfectly with a sort of game I want for it to overwrite that. I think like I'd imagine I'm trying to think of like a puzzle game which has like some very strange aesthetic, maybe like Braid off the top of my head. I don't really love Braid's art style, but apparently it's like a really good puzzle game. But I am willing to try it. But Slayyyyyy Spire, unfortunately, is like, despite the fact it's a really good card deck builder roguelite, I'm just not really interested in deck builder roguelite. It's even amusing to say because like Shiny Colors, like one of the gacha games I played, like they released a rhythm game where it has basically a deck building sort of element to it, which I'm not that interested in. Like that's a gacha game which I may or may not drop at like any second now. I'm just sort of like waiting out to see if it like there's something which really grips me about it. But if not, then so be it. Yeah, so I'm not like crazy into that builders, but I feel like with the advent of Slayyyyyy Spire 2, I should give it a shot. Like who am I to not give a load of different games a chance? Like I mean, it's actually something I would like sort of trying to stoke a little bit right now. Frankly, if I was having a talk with a friend and we were just like, hey, we should try and like, because oftentimes we basically how it goes is we default to League of Legends playing ARAMs. I suppose like, when we're like, oh, we need like a game to play for like a group of us or something, which is well and good and all, but we have so many like awesome games that we have, which is we just need to like actually try and play at some point, just so we can get sort of very used to them. Not used to them, but so then it's just like, oh, do you want to play a game? It's like, oh, do you want to play like ARAMs? Do you want to play Valorant? Do you want to play Eternal Return? Do you want to play I don't know, Don't Starve? Do you want to play like Mario Kart, etc, etc, etc? It was like a whole bevy of different games that we could choose from, but we just like default to what's comfortable, which is nothing. There's nothing wrong with ARAMs, by the way. Like the reason why is because it is so comfortable. It's basically more like an avenue to talk over rather than necessarily play the game. But it'd be nice if other games could also come up to that sort of like standard as well. Other games that like imagine just playing Valorant casually with friends, and it's something that we could also just have like a nice chat over at the same time. It's just obviously right now we're not very good at Valorant, well, not all of us. There's actually like a decent chunk of my friends who are like really good at Valorant. So I'm just talking about this casual ARAM crowd. Anyway, that's not the point. Load of different games to try. I should really try Slayyyyyy Spire 2. And I must say, but one of the biggest motivators that made me go look at it and be like, yeah, maybe I should try it, is one, they've got basically the same sort of style art thematic, like with shape language and stuff I use with color palettes, etc. It's basically the same in Slay the Spire 2, but just cleaned it up. Is what it looks like to me. It looks more like sort of vectorized and not vectorized, but everything's a bit neater. It's less murky in that sense. I still don't love the art style, but I mean, it is a very distinctive choice, and and it's a choice that they've executed well. It's just not like a choice which appeals that much to me. But I like it better in Slay the Spire 2 than Slay the Spire 1, maybe because it just looks a little bit cleaner. And another big thing was, I wasn't like too crazy about like any of the character designs, I suppose, in the first one or something. Like Ironclad is, and I know their names as well, which is crazy. Well, I think so. Ironclad is like fine. I don't really know what Ironclad looks like, but it reminds me of, I think it's from Fairly Odd Parents or something, where they have, no, Phineas and Ferb, where they become like a superhero, like, I don't know, like Beakman. I can't remember what his name is. That's what it reminds me of, just like a golden version of that. So nothing crazy about that. Silent, I guess, is kind of cool, but again, it's just sort of, I don't know, it didn't really grab me in that sense. Watcher's the robot one, right? I think robot looks kind of cool. And then there's, no, that's the defect. Watcher is like the ninja girl or something, right? Which none of them really just made me go, whoa, that's a cool design or that sort of thing, or that's a fun design, which appeals to me. But I will say there's a new character in Slay the Spire 2, which I immediately was like, love that. And really, they don't even have like crazy design or anything. It's just more like how well they've conveyed their personality, I suppose. Because I was watching the trailer for Slay the Spire 2, and it was like, and people are hyped, obviously, and I don't. But me having not like much investment in the game in the first place, I'm sort of just like, I don't really know what I'm looking at in that sense. But then like they show off the characters, and then there's the new character, the Lich. I can't remember her name. It's like Necro Hoarder or something like that. And then she's introduced with like the sassiest pose I think I've ever seen a skeleton pull, with such an unimpressed face going on. I was just like, boom, I love that. Convey personality, convey an aspect of her personality to me through that, which is, the sassy skeleton. I'm just like, I've immediately been like, this has now intrigued me more, because I don't know, I don't even know what Ironclad or Silent's personalities are. I just assume they're sort of like default heroic style, or maybe not. I mean, Ironclad it strikes me as default hero, and then Silent is just more like maybe like stealthy, sneaky, like cultist or something. But I don't know necessarily if that's true or not. I'm just sort of making it up. I don't mean that's a shot on the game or anything, but like everyone's got different tastes. But apparently, sassy skeleton, that was what made me just go like, yes. I don't know, like something about monstrous characters in a media property being anthropomorphized in the sense that they're not anthropomorphized as given like human proportions, but anthropomorphized in the sense of given like a human personality, like personified. It's not really personification. Anthropomorphized is just too general a term, I suppose. But given like a personality which sort of feels like a mismatch to their sort of maybe much more monstrous demonic side to them, it's a trope, definitely a trope, but it's a trope I love, I will say. I adore that trope, sassy skeleton, funny, and like, Undertale is actually a fantastic example, like of Sans and Papyrus. Actually, most of the monsters are, I suppose, sort of going counter, like skeletons are meant to be inherently like spooky sort of creatures, and Papyrus just having this overly flamboyant personality, with Sans having just like a really chilled, laid back guy personality. It's like a fantastic sort of contrast, which makes me immediately go, yes, that's fun. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. It's just, Slay the Spire 2. So, I don't know, I think it's just more like a confluence of things. Like, it was a confluence of things that I didn't play with Slay the Spire 1, being like, the art style didn't really grip me, like, there wasn't really at a time where I was wanting to play, like, these roguelites or anything like that. I wasn't, it's not like I had bad experience with roguelites before, but none of them had really gripped me all that much. I wasn't really playing many games at the time, and I was just like, I never really got around to playing Slay the Spire 1. But maybe I'll try Slay the Spire 2. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll play it and I'll just be like, yeah, this game's not really for me, which is totally fair. Like, I think we all have, like, maybe not all, but, like, I've played enough games now that I have a decent instinct of what sort of games will appeal to me and what won't necessarily appeal to me. And for some reason, card game, deck builder roguelike does not, like, trigger, like, a bell in my head where I'm just like, ooh, I'm interested. Which is interesting to say, because it's kind of like a puzzle game in that sense, but I guess it's a puzzle game without any definitive answer, which is not really what I'm playing a puzzle game for. I'm playing a puzzle game to find out what sort of devious question the devs posed, and answer, what sly answer lies at the heart of it, I suppose. which Slay Spires, I don't know, maybe strategic games just don't really fall into my purview all that much. Maybe that's it, I don't really know. Anyway, Sassy Skeletons, that's kind of where it's at. I'm trying to think of another good example of a monstrous character which has like a distinctly unbefitting personality type for it. I guess what I'm just trying to say is like sort of a subversion of tropes, which is weird to say because it's sort of become a trope in its own right. Oh, Celeste is here. I don't know, or just like monstrous characters who convey the same sort of level or depth of personality that like if they were a human, they would as well, you know. Human character, boring. Monstrous character, let's go. Okay, and I'm going to say human characters are always boring. Human characters are obviously have a very strong place in any sort of media property as well. But you know, they feel like a bread and butter in that sense. Because then you look at them and be like, oh, well, I'm a human, so, you know, it's a lot easier to sort of like transpose myself onto them. But interestingly enough, this is something I remember having a conversation with. I can't remember who it was with. Probably one of my friends I always have like very long conversations with about this concept of characters and being able to sort of like transpose yourself onto them. See yourself, not necessarily like see yourself in them, but like put yourself in their shoes, and then see like how well you engage with it. And the conversation that we were talking about was like protagonists and that stuff. I can't remember even what example we necessarily used, but we were talking about some media property where the protagonist had like a very different personality type to that friend, and she was just saying like it made it like not made it difficult for me to get invested into it, but I wasn't invested as I could have been because the personality was like such a clash. It felt like it didn't feel right. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I at that point it's not like I didn't know the concept of like putting yourself in their shoes. I was like consuming media property and seeing yourself, not seeing yourself like, it's the wrong way to put it, but it's more like you relate to a character more, or you like a character or a story engrosses you more if it's a story that you can see yourself in, or it's a story that you relate to, something like that. It's not like I wasn't aware of that concept in general. It's just more like I never realised that I didn't really do it in media properties that I can think of. I can't really think of a media property where I put myself basically in the character's shoes, or like felt a stronger relation to a character because, you know, I was seeing myself in them in that sense. Not to say that I don't see like parts of myself in a character, but that's more like a conscious choice, where a conscious like thinking point rather than like a automatic one, which happens when you watch something. I guess maybe the closest way, well, keep me posted. The closest thing I would put to it would be seeing a character who has traits which I aspire to. But again, it feels like that feels like a distinct, not distinct different, but that feels like an inherently different flavour from seeing myself in a character. It's more like, oh, that character's like, I don't know, written like heroic or something. I'd be like, I'd like to be that heroic, or that character's like really kind. I'd be like, oh, I'd like to be that kind as well, or I'd like to think I'd be. So it's sort of like it sounds so like robotically educational me again, but it's like more like learning a lesson from a character rather than seeing that sort of reflection in it, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good or bad thing. At points I wonder if that makes me not makes me, but like the depth of connection you can have to a media property by seeing yourself reflected in the characters, probably I would argue it's probably stronger than one where you don't see yourself in the characters, right? Because it's got that personal touch to it, a personal element to it, interwoven, I suppose, with a story. It now has like stakes which you care about inherently in it. So I wonder sometimes, not sometimes, but like I suppose I wonder now if that means, not like I'm robbing myself, I suppose, of that depth of connection to a story, but like I wonder if there is inherent like I inherently enjoy a story less, I suppose, because of it, because I'm working from a slightly lower baseline. Obviously not like a huge amount lower, don't get me wrong. I'm very much sort of extrapolating random conversations here, rather than thinking this is actually anything serious. That's interesting to think about, you know. I think it's much cooler to be able to see yourself in a character. Which I think this goes doubly ironically, because I'm very much a person in my friend group being like, hey, if we were all X characters from X media property, who would be what? Like that I can make. I think there's a distinction here, like I'm trying to make. I think it's very clear to me to be able to make these sort of links between people and characters, and I can link myself to a character through like similar traits and that sort of thing. Interesting. But that's another side point, which a thing I've discovered after like asking these questions so often is that my metrics for defining how a character can represent someone, it seems to be slightly different to how some of my other friends doing it. Like but one that distinctly makes me think about it is when we were doing with Genshin characters. And then, like, through the discussion, I found out that basically I was doing it based off of, like, a character's sort of, like... I'm not sure how to put it, like, motivations. Like, how their general sort of, like, life... the way they live their life, while other people are necessarily doing it by, like, more... Oh, you're ill. Do we have medicine? We do have medicine. By, like, the role they play in the story, or maybe, like, their interest or the things that they interact with, in that sense. Which I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong. I think both of those are kind of like definitive of a character. Like, I think the best way I can say it was like I assigned this character, one of these characters, to a person, and she was like, I don't know, why would you do that necessarily? Is it because of she's like awkward and antisocial? And I was like, that honestly did not cross my mind. It was because that she, it's kuching my way. It was her character story is all about like rejecting, or wanting to reject this idea of like the powers bestowed upon her from gods, and wanting to like earn her, like prove, not prove herself, but show that she like through her own diligence and hard work like earned her own right to be or whatever status or whatever she is. That's like my best summary of it. I was like, that's really interesting. Anyway, sorry, I'm like mixing conversations here, to be perfectly honest. That could have been a conversation in its own Animal Crossing episode, which maybe it will be. Where's I going with this? Anyway, monstrous characters. Maybe that's why I like these sort of personified monstrous characters more, because one, monstrous characters by themselves, I think inherently, well, the thing you can latch onto is like their design, or maybe their more animalistic behaviors and how they interact can be interesting, but giving it like a personality inherently makes it more interesting, right? In a social aspect. Sorry, a little bit of a pause there, but yeah, the general concept of a monstrous character with personality sort of gets the best of both worlds in my brain, where it's just like, oh, you know, you get the cool sort of monstrous design, but then you also get the human element of a personality to sort of like understand and dissect further. I mean, there's no surprise that I like characters by their personality quite a lot. You know, I end up talking about it a lot. Like I'm very sort of, in a media property, I'm very sort of character driven rather than like world driven or plot driven or anything like that. So I guess that's kind of why. I don't know. I also think a part of me just finds it more amusing in that sense, mainly because, and I think maybe because I don't tend to sort of like, not imprint myself, but you know, well, what's a word that kids are using these days? Like kin I don't kin a character. I'm very much not a person who would ever kin a character, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad if you do. I mean, kids and teens kind of do what they do, right? If you're like a media property, why not? As long as you're not hurting yourself, and as long as you sort of you realise the distinction between reality and fiction, why not? But you know, that's just not my sort of thing. Which I don't know. It's just interesting to think about. No, I've never. You learn a lot when you do these Animal Crossing videos. You sort of like dissect your own likes and dislikes and what ends up happening because of it. I never really thought why I'd like that. Anyway, Sassy Skeletons. Let's actually find out her name. I forgot her name. Slay the Spire to new character. She's honestly slaying. Look at her intro pose. Like if you search Slay the Spire 2 new character and you see the image from Rock Paper Shotgun, oh, Necrobinder, that's it. Just like the hands on hips, like stuck to the side, just unimpressed attitude. That's just like such a mood. Anyway, maybe I'll play Slay the Spire 2. Maybe I won't. Well, we'll see. I think if there's any time to play it, this is the time. And on that note, I'm going to wrap this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.